What is going on, PokeMoshPit? NBZ here, coming at you with another beginner's guide episode. So in this episode, I thought it would be good to talk about the team and, some of the key players in a typical Pokemon team, and what sort of different roles each Pokemon has within a team, what you need, what a balanced team is, and kind of all that general stuff. So first of all, I'm going to start off with a bit of jargon which the Pokemon community generally uses to refer to specific Pokemon and what roles they have in a team. Now, the main two types of Pokemon that you'll find on each and every team, pretty much, are Sweepers and Walls. Sweepers are Pokemon who are really fast, have really high offensive stats, either in attack or in special attack, and basically are built to dish out huge hits, as the name says, sweep the opponent's team. Walls are pretty much the opposite of this. Walls are there with massive defenses, a high HP stat, and they're there to take hits very nicely and to wear down the other Pokemon with, status moves and, healing moves to keep themselves alive and all that general stuff. So it's not just Sweepers and Walls who make up a Pokemon team. Obviously, a lot of Pokemon teams will have, your main Sweepers and your main Walls, but you'll also have other types of guys who are going to come into the mix also. You've got tanks. Now, tanks are kind of an in-between variant between Sweepers and Walls. A tank will have relatively good defenses and a really decent HP stat, as well as being able to dish out some decent hits. So it's kind of a balance between both Sweepers and Walls. Can take hits, but can also dish out pretty big ones. There are relatively few of these pokes, but still they're very useful when you do use them. The lead. Now, the lead is obviously the poke that you start off with. The lead is generally meant to set the scene for the battle, set up whatever you need to set up, be anything from a Sweeper to a Wall to anything else, but has a specific job in mind to start off the battle and, set things in motion. More specifically, another role is an Annoyer. Now, Annoyers are generally Pokemon that use moves like Trick. It might set up dual screens, Light Screen, Reflect, and it may even carry some sort of status moves. But in general, Annoyers are there to pretty much just annoy your opponent and, make things hard for them to deal with. So let's recap. We've got our Sweepers, we've got our Walls, we've got our tanks, our lead-offs, and our annoyers. Now, not every team is going to include, one of every type of these things. Of course, you'll always have a lead, and most of the time you'll have Sweepers and Walls. But, in general, things will be mixed up, and you can pretty much pick and choose what you want to do. A normal sort of balanced team would run something like this. You'd have your lead-off, of course. Then you'd have a couple of Sweepers and a couple of Walls. Now, each Sweeper and Wall would have to be, specifically oriented to what you wanted it to do. Which is where, in my previous video about the physical special divide, this comes in, because you've got your physically defensive pokes, your physical Walls, your specially defensive pokes, your special Walls. The same applies for Sweepers. You've got your really special attacking guys who are offensive, the special attacking Sweepers, and your physically attacking Sweepers who have really high attack stat. If you are making a first team, I would highly recommend that you run one of each of these type of Pokemon. So you'd run one offensive Sweeper with physical attacks, one with special attacks. You'd run one physically defensive Wall and one special defense Wall. If you were to have a lead as well, you could decide whether you wanted that to be a sweeping lead or, a walling lead. It's really your own decision. The final spot, usually, a lot of people like to go for some extra power with Sweepers. People who play stall perhaps have extra Wall, and, general different team styles will cater for different things, so not everyone will have, your normal setup. There is something to throw a spanner in the works though, which is the idea of a mixed either Sweeper or Wall. Mixed Sweepers, mixed Walls can pretty much do what they say. They can take physical hits and special hits if they're defensive, or if they're Sweepers, then they can dish out both physical and special hits. Now, what makes these guys useful is they can pretty much deal out damage or take damage from any side of the spectrum, meaning that, there are few of them, and if you can find a good one and make it work within your team, then it's going to be very useful, because it can be a switch into anything, or it can, start sweeping a lot more easily than maybe a physical Sweeper would if he was stopped by your opponent's physical Wall. So I'm just going to give a quick, list of pretty much the types of Pokemon that would be Sweepers, types which would be Walls. Let's say Infernape, Lucario, Scizor, Azelf. For Walls, maybe Hippowdon, Gliscor, Blissey, Skarmory. So all these types of Pokemon are all catered to either sweeping or, you know, being tanks or walls. Tanks, let's take a look. Maybe there are a few tanks I'd have in mind. For example, Tyranitar, Rhyperior are both pretty, you know, major tanks, and those are two of the best examples, I'd say, probably.
Okay, so here we have a special sweeper in the form of Azelf. As you can see, its special attack and speed are both very high. It actually has respectable attack, and that's because Azelf can be used as a mixed sweeper. It gets access to elemental punches, explosion, and many other good physical moves, so you can use it in that way if you do want to, but it's primarily a special sweeper. You've got Gyarados here. Gyarados is actually slightly different from your normal offensive sweeper. As you can see, its attack is miles higher than its special attack, and its speed is actually slightly lower than its defenses, mainly because it's a more bulky type of Pokemon, but mainly used for sweeping and offensive attacks. Now, Bronzong here is kind of different. It's a mixed wall. Both of its defenses are very, very high, and it has a very good HP stat. Its speed is low. This is to abuse the move Gyro Ball, which works best when your speed is low, and many other pokes use, you know, different moves like Avalanche, second turn moves on walls. Here is Blissey. Blissey, the #1 special wall in the game, which has a ridiculous amount of HP and a ridiculous amount of special attack, but as you can see, its other stats fail in comparison, really. Finally, Cresselia is a mixed wall right here, and it has, as you can see, very good defenses in both areas. Its HP is very good, and its special attack's not too bad actually, meaning it can deal some nice hits. Hippowdon here is a physical wall, obviously. As you can see, its defense is miles higher than its special defense, making it the prime candidate for a physical wall on any team. It does have Sandstream, but of course, you know, you can build your own team around that and make sure that you're abusing it.
So let's recap. You've got your lead, you've got your special wall, your physical wall, your special sweeper, your physical sweeper, and then perhaps you want to throw a mixed guy in there as well. Maybe a tank, maybe you want to lead with a tank, you know, maybe you want to use a sweeper, I don't know, but you know, it's all up to you. It's all about your personal choice, and that's pretty much the starter's guide to the main roles of Pokemon in the team. If you enjoyed this video, then please comment, like it, subscribe to the PokeMoshPit. If you want to see more of this kind of content, look at the Learn to Metagame channel, link will be in the description. If you'd like to see some more Wi-Fi battles from me, link will be in the description. Until then, I will see you guys next time on Beginner's Guide.